Hey everyone, Mike Miller with the Herald Times coming to you from Virginia after Indiana's 34-17 win over Virginia in Charlottesville. First win of the season, first win of the Tom Allen era, and actually was Indiana's fourth consecutive non-conference road win, which is pretty impressive. That goes back to the Missouri win a few years ago, Missouri, Wake Forest, Florida International, who we'll see next week, and now Virginia. Big win for Indiana, obviously. It certainly paves a way to 6 wins and potentially more. You got 2 gimmies coming up next couple weeks, Florida International and Georgia Southern. And certainly I think you look at the back end of the schedule, it's pretty navigable. But this was a big game, obviously, coming off the Ohio State loss, putting that in the rear view. And obviously, too, just kind of getting ready to go on the road. I mean, it's Virginia's not a great team, not a very good team, but it's still a Power 5 opponent on the road. I mean, it was a road atmosphere, and to kind of go into that today and perform well was really important, and Indiana did that, but didn't do it at first. It was a really, really rough first quarter for Indiana. I think they held the ball for maybe just a little over 4 minutes total in that quarter. Had something like 36, 37 yards. It was just not good. No running game. Offensive line was poor, really poor all day, if we're being honest. And Richard Lagow got the hook. Peyton Ramsey came in after a Richard Lagow interception early in the second quarter, and once Peyton Ramsey came in, he did not come out. Pulling up the stats right now. Actually completed each of his first 11 passes, finished 16 for 20 on the day, 173 yards, 2 throwing touchdowns, also ran for another from 26 yards out, really giving Indiana some sort of presence on the field. Morgan Ellison put up, 47 yards. Did a lot of that late in the game, but early on, I mean, really the only running presence, again, I shouldn't even say again, the only running presence was Peyton Ramsey. Occupying a little bit more of a dual threat type role for Indiana, just as they just couldn't get their running game going, just really couldn't get anything going. Richard Lagow came out early in that second quarter, having completed 3 of his 10 throws, just not a very good start. So now Indiana faces somewhat of a quarterback controversy. I'm not sure we're full-blown QB controversy just yet. He's apparently going to start next week against FIU. Tom Allen said after the game that he's still the starter. They got 2 quarterbacks. They're going to play 2 quarterbacks. They played 2 quarterbacks last year, but I don't know. This is not last year. It doesn't feel like last year. I don't think we ever really thought that Xander Diamont was, frankly, the answer last year. I think everyone was kind of waiting for Richard Lagow to really open up the toolbox and show everyone what he can do. But Peyton Ramsey, certainly, he's got his own toolbox. He's got some assets there that Indiana can really look to use, especially the feet. Obviously more mobile than Richard Lagow. Really doesn't have the arm of Richard Lagow, but it certainly looks effective. I mean, it was effective today. And I think one thing Kevin Wilson used to say is a lot of coaches probably said it. You got 2 quarterbacks, you don't got 1. So we'll kind of see how this flushes itself out, this quarterback situation, over the next few weeks. But yeah, I mean, I think we're obviously going to see 2 quarterbacks next week against FIU. Richard Lagow out of the gate. We'll see when they use Ramsey. But Ramsey looked good. Ramsey looked ready, I think, was probably the most impressive thing. I mean, throwing him in there, he looked the part. I mean, he looked like a guy who was willing, able, and capable of stepping into that kind of role on the road. I mean, think of this. I mean, the guy, first 2 college games makes a little cameo against Ohio State and goes on the road at Virginia. Again, we're not talking about the Big House or Ohio Stadium or anything like that, but again, it was a road atmosphere, Power 5 opponent. They were, they were juiced up and ready for football. But yeah, I mean, he just really impressive, just performance from Peyton Ramsey, stepping in there and really not missing a beat. And beyond that, I mean, he was good. I mean, he really he showed command of the offense, threw some good balls, threw a really good ball to Donovan Hale for a touchdown in the second half. He actually apparently made a mistake on that, didn't he? Jokingly went no comment when we asked him the mistake he alluded to in his post-game remarks. But, I mean, overall, it was a really nice performance from Peyton Ramsey, who, again, we will very likely see moving forward in this apparently now a 2-quarterback system for Indiana. Defense was good. Not, they still don't have a takeaway, which is kind of odd. I think they had about 4 or 5 opportunities today to get one. A couple called back, I think, for penalties. It was a targeting. A few others just weren't able to stay in their hands. But last couple weeks they've come pretty close to getting a takeaway. Just still don't have one yet on the season, which is kind of weird. Just knowing the emphasis they put on takeaways first of all, but also knowing that they got some guys who are playmakers, guys who are around the ball, and like we've seen have been around the ball. but just couldn't get that today. But overall, even though they don't really have that takeaway to really hold up, or that big takeaway or whatever, defense was solid. I think they really held Virginia in check. I don't think Virginia maybe, I'm trying to think off the top of my head now I'm saying this, I don't really think Virginia put together one real sustained touchdown drive that they really authored and made themselves. I mean, they took advantage of a few mistakes from Indiana, took advantage of some field position. But otherwise, I mean, I thought Indiana's defense got some 3-and-outs. They largely just played well. And I thought Rashard Fant was just tremendous. I'm curious to go back and watch it and just kind of look a little closer, but it just felt like that guy was just whenever they threw in his direction, he was there. He was just making some really athletic plays, which I guess we've all come to expect from him over the last two and a half seasons, whatever. Special teams too, got to give them their due, especially after dragging them for a little bit last season. First of all, Griffin Oaks. First kick attempt of the year was a 51-yard field goal, which set the Indiana program record for career makes. He now has 54. I think he added a 47, 48-yarder there in the second half. If they can get just a more consistent Griffin Oaks, they're going to be okay. I mean, it was just a rough year last year, both for him and for that whole unit as far as just protection and the holds. Just some of the elementary stuff that really you just kind of take for granted. It just wasn't there for Indiana. The whole picture just wasn't there. It just was not complete from a special teams point of view last season. We'll see if that continues. But also, too, in the punting game, getting Jay-Shun Harris back, I think you almost forget just how quick and shifty that guy was. It's been a couple of years, obviously, with the back-to-back years lost due to ACL surgeries. First of all, wow, I mean, coming back from 2 ACL surgeries, 1 to each knee, and still kind of maintaining or retaining some of that that athleticism, that ability to really run around and make plays in space. I mean, to do that after 2 lost years and 2 knee surgeries is really impressive. And he was all over the place on special teams punt returns today. He actually screwed up really bad at one point. Actually, it wasn't really bad, but it was one of those moves where you're just like, what are you doing? Caught a punt, I think, around the 2. Inside the 5, caught a punt. Just fair caught it. And I think everyone's kind of like, what are you doing? He made up for it. I think he had a 43-yard return that set up Peyton Ramsey's 26-yard touchdown run in the second quarter. And then late in the game, to really just cap everything off, put it all away. Not that it was really in doubt. He had that 44-yard return to the house. Indiana's first punt return for a touchdown since Mitchell Page in 2015 against Michigan. So special teams was special for one day at least. We'll see if that continues. Again, a very inconsistent unit in last year or so. Really, last couple of years if you really think about it. But again, another thing to kind of watch coming weeks. So yeah, moving forward, still want to see more from this offensive line. They don't look talented as they have been in recent years, I should say. I just don't see it right now. They're 2 games in. There's a long season left to play, but man, they need more from right tackle Delroy Baker. He's sticking out. You don't want him to stick out. Brandon Knight traveled. I don't think he got on the field unless he snuck in there at some point, but he traveled. He warmed up. Wasn't warming up with the first teamers, but he was dressed and warming up. So it does appear that his return is imminent, and they could use him. If we're being honest, that whole offensive line just right now is not what Indiana needs or wants it to be. So we'll see just how far along they can come and improve in the next few weeks. Still, the running game is just not a factor. There are certainly spurts and moments where you see a couple runs, nothing too explosive. But they got a little more obviously than they did last week, but still not enough, not nearly enough. So I think bringing in Peyton Ramsey was at least partly to really have some sort of presence on the ground, which he gave them. But it cannot be him alone, to rely on, for any sort of sustained running attack. So offensive line's got to get better, running game's got to get better, and we'll see what happens with the quarterbacks. We'll see. It's always the classic football debate, quarterback. So Indiana has 2, and we'll probably see them both here next week, here in a few days, back in Bloomington, Florida International. They're going to be interesting, actually. I think they were in Birmingham. Forget who they played on Friday night. But that's with the whole hurricane thing, which is really unfortunate and scary down there in South Florida. Kind of interested to see how long FIU's camped out in Birmingham, whether they make an early arrival in Bloomington or what. But this is a tough turnaround for that team. Just getting ready to play here in just a week. So we'll see. Plenty to watch. I can't believe it just went 10 minutes solo. Miss JP Price. Miss Andy Graham. Although Andy Graham is now with IU Hoosiers. Not a scoop talk guy anymore. But I miss him. Okay. This is more than enough of me. So thanks, guys. We'll see you soon.